and welcome to day 25 of Move the Mind. We're in the final weeks, final countdown, it's happening. But today is going to be focusing on the hips again, but with a more of a vinyasa flow, and we are going to be quite flowy here. But see if you can really focus on the movements that you're making in between the poses as well, so the transitions that you're taking to get in between. We're going to begin in tabletop, finding some wrist stretches. So you can keep the toes tucked or keep them untucked. Then inhale, turning the right fingertips towards the knee. You can do both hands at the same time, but if you want to do one hand at a time, that's fine. Keeping navel into the spine and maybe sending the hips back towards the heels. Finding that opening all down the inside of the right wrist. If you are doing one hand at a time, making sure that you're switching to do the other side. And you might not get very far back to the hips here. If you're just moving a couple of millimetres, that's fine, as long as you're getting that stretch. Noticing if you're shrumping the shoulders, noticing if you're bending the elbows. So if you're finding the elbows are bending here, come back until you can move to a point where you don't bend the elbows. Notice if you're dumping into the spine, keeping a neutral spine, tailbone tucked under. Inhale, turning the fingertips the normal way. And then turning so that the tops of the palms are onto the floor. Top of the hands, top of the palms. And again, you might need to do one hand at a time here. This one can feel very intense. So if you're buckling the elbows, coming up and back, and make sure you are only doing one hand at a time. Finding that opening down the back of the hand. If you've done one hand, making sure that you've turned over to do the other. Keeping shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, coming back into centre, then turning the fingertips so that they're facing out, and then just taking some circles here. So taking some circles with the hips, circles with the body. Once you've gone one way, making sure you're going the other way, so you balance out on either side. Once you have equalled out, bringing hands to the centre, maybe sitting back onto the heels, maybe just taking a few circles with the wrists here. And making your way back to tabletop. Inhale, engaging navel to the spine, and then bringing the right knee to the right elbow, taking a big circle with the hip, keeping both weight equal in the hands. So going 3 times one way, and then taking the rotation the other way. So if you've gone counterclockwise, making sure you're going clockwise. Taking 3 on the right side, and then we're going to do the same with the left. So coming back into centre, rerouting through your tabletop. Then inhale, bringing the left knee towards the left elbow as you take the knee up, round and back. Nice big circles with the hip. 3 times in one direction, then reversing the circle 3 times in the other direction. Finding your way back into tabletop. Inhale, dropping the belly, finding your way into your cow. Exhale to arch through the spine, finding your cat. Inhale, peeling the chest through, finding your cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to a neutral spine, keeping the hips above the knees, walking the fingertips out, bringing the forehead or the chin to the mat to find your Anahatasana, your puppy pose. Finding that opening across the shoulders, lowering the chest down towards the mat. Inhale. Exhale, rippling through to find your way into Sphinx. Inhale, peeling the chest through as you press the hands down into the ground. All of the thighs are on the ground, the tops of the toes are on the ground, gazes forward. Inhale. Exhale, bringing hands either side of the rib cage and pushing back to find your downward facing dog. First one of the practice, maybe your first one of the day. So inhale, coming high onto the balls of the feet. Exhale, coming to the inside of the left foot and the outside of the right foot, really pushing into that left hand, sending the hips back. Inhale to centre and then the other way, so inside of the right foot, outside of the left foot, keeping equal pressure in the hands, really sending the hips back. Inhale, coming into centre and finding your way into your downward facing dog, whatever that might look like today. Maybe there's a bend in the knees, maybe the heels are away from the floor, but really finding that space and that extension in the spine. Inhale, the right leg lifts, bending the right knee and opening the right hip, keeping weight equal in the hands so the shoulders are squared to the top of the mat. Inhale, high onto the ball of that left foot as you step the right foot outside the right hand, finding your lizard, lowering left knee down, maybe untucking back toes, maybe coming onto the outside edge of that right foot as right hand comes to the right knee. Maybe you stay up on that left hand, maybe you lower left elbow down to the mat, finding that space in the right hip. Inhale and exhale. If you've been down on that right elbow, coming up, and then walking the right foot to the left wrist, right knee comes down to the right hand. Now you can bring that right foot in towards the left hip. If you are tighter in the hips, I'd recommend you do so. If you're finding this right hip is high away from the mat, pop a block underneath or a cushion. Inhale to lengthen through the chest. Exhale, starting to fold over the legs, but really bringing the rib cage up and over that bent leg, finding your pigeon. Maybe forehead comes down to the mat, maybe you stay quite high here. If you are super flexy and open in your hips, so if you're hypermobile in your hips, walk your body out towards the left. So walk your hands towards the left and you're going to get more into your right hip here. So you're aiming to balance your hips, and this is going to look different for everyone. So for me, I do not feel pigeon if I'm straight on because I am hypermobile in my hips. I have got to walk over to the left. Else I'm kind of cheating because I'm working into the hypermobility of my body rather than any sort of strength. Stay with your breath. Inhale. Exhale, coming back into centre, planting hands, tucking those back toes under, lifting the right knee in towards the chest as then you send it back and up into your three-legged dog. Inhale. Exhale, lowering right knee to the mat. Inhaling, left knee lifts, well, the whole of the left leg, finding your three-legged dog, bending the left knee and opening the left hip, keeping weight equal in the hands, bringing the chest square to the top of the mat. Inhale, high onto the ball of that right foot as you bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand, lowering right knee down, finding your lizard. Inhale, peeling the chest through the arms first. Maybe you're up on blocks here, maybe your hands are to the floor, maybe your elbows are to the floor. And staying here or coming onto the outside edge of that left foot, maybe just encouraging the opening of the hip with the left hand onto the knee. Trying to mirror what you did on the other side. So what you've done on one side, try and match up with, but both sides of the body are different, so it might feel different on this side. It might also feel different to what you did yesterday, to what you did last week. Bodies change. We have different stresses in the day, and the body does keep score. 2 days are not identical. Inhale, coming back onto the hands if you've been down onto the elbows. Then walking that left foot out towards the right wrist. Left knee comes to the left wrist. If this doesn't feel good, bringing that left foot in towards the right hip. If you need to prop a block underneath your bum, pop a block underneath that left hip. Inhale to extend. Exhale, folding down over the left leg. And making sure your hips are square here. So doing what you need to do, making the movements that you need to make, or grabbing a block to put underneath that left hip to make sure that the hips are squaring. So if you find that your right hip is way up, we want to bring the right hip in line with the left hip. Maybe walking hands out towards the right. connecting with the breath. Inhale, walking yourself up, placing the hands down onto the mat, tucking those right toes under as you inhale, sending left foot up and away. Lowering left foot rather down to the mat, coming back to downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale, finding your stability, finding your rest in this pose. And child's pose is always there, so if you do want to come into child's pose at any point, please do so. Listen to your body, your breath. Inhale high onto the balls of the feet, deep bend in the knees, and just taking as many steps to get to the top of the mat as you need. Keeping the knees soft here as you find that forward fold, that Uttanasana. Inhale to look up halfway and lengthen. And exhale, crossing the right foot in front of the left, so you're bringing the pinky toes to touch. Inhale, finding that length in the halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Option to stay here or start to walk the hands out towards the right side of the mat. Hello. Hamstring. Super nice for getting into the left hip here. Inhale, pushing into the hands, sending the hips back. Exhale. Inhale, walking back into centre, finding that halfway lift. Uncrossing the legs. And then crossing the left foot in front of the right, so the pinky toes are coming to touch once more. Inhale, finding that length. Exhale, maybe you fold, crown of the head coming to the mat. Maybe you start to walk the hands out towards the left, sending the hips back. Not twisting the hips. Sending the hips back, finding that stretch all down the outside of the right leg. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, lengthening the chest, coming back into centre, uncrossing the legs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, pushing into the ground, root to rise. Bringing the hands all the way up. Exhale, hands come back down through the centre line of the body, finding your Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale to hinge and fold over both legs. Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, finding that halfway lift. Exhale, planting hands as right foot steps back, right knee lowers to the mat. Inhale, both arms lift, finding your low lunge. Exhale, planting hands to the mat, tucking those back toes under. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale, high onto the balls of the feet, rippling forward with the spine to find your high plank. Exhale, knees come down, chin and chest come to the ground as elbows stay tucked into the body. Inhale, peeling through to find your low cobra. Exhale, rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Inhale for 1. Exhale for 1. Inhale for 2. Exhale for 2. Inhale for 3. Exhale for 3. Inhale, the right leg lifts high on the ball of the left toes as right knee comes to the nose, planting right foot in between the hands, left knee lowers. Inhale, both arms lift, finding your low lunge. Exhale, planting hands, and left foot steps in to meet right. Inhale, look up halfway and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Inhaling, root to rise, gaze follows thumbs. Exhale, bringing the prayer down the centre line of the body. Inhale, both arms lift, gaze follows thumbs. Exhale to hinge and fold, going through our Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, look up halfway and lengthen. Exhale, planting hands, stepping the left foot back this time, left knee lowers to mat. Inhale, both arms lift, finding your low lunge. Exhale, planting hands on the mat, stepping right foot back to meet left, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, high onto the balls of the feet, rippling forward with the spine to find your high plank. And either coming through knees, chest, chin, or lowering through your Chaturanga if you feel ready. Inhale is your cobra or your upward dog. Exhale is your downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Finding that space, finding that reset in the body. Inhale for 2. Exhale for 2. Inhale for 3. Exhale for 3. Inhaling, the left leg lifts high on the ball of the right foot, bringing left knee to the nose, planting left foot in between the hands, lowering right knee down. Inhale, both arms lift, low lunge. Exhale, bringing hands to mat, stepping right foot in to meet left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping both arms up. Exhale, bringing the prayer through the centre line of the body. You might need blocks for where we're going next. So inhale, finding that Tadasana, finding your breath, finding your space. Next, inhale, both arms lift. Exhale, hinging and folding over the legs. Now bringing the feet about hips distance apart. If the floor is a long way from you, if you can't straighten through your legs here, again, be wary of hyperextending, so if you need to keep a soft bend in the knees, do. You can bring hands to a brick or hands to the floor. You might need to block up a fair amount for what we're about to do next. We're going through some outer hip strengtheners. So inhale, finding a point where you can get to that halfway lift. Maybe hands are on the floor, maybe they're on blocks. Bringing the navel to the spine, rooting through the left foot as you start to lift the right foot away from the floor. And then sending the right foot out in external rotation. So we're taking a lift with this leg. You might be a couple of inches away from the floor. You might hover further away from the mat. But keeping equal, pressing both hands in towards the mat or the brick. Can you lift that right leg a little bit higher? For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering right foot back down to the mat. Maybe just taking a few bends of the knees here. Coming back to centre, taking the same on the left. So navel to spine, pushing equally down into the blocks, into the ground, finding almost a doming sensation in your upper back as you lift the left foot away from the mat, and then start lifting that left leg to the side. Notice if you're swinging your right hip back, trying to keep your hip in line as if you were standing with both feet on the mat. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering left heel down. Maybe just taking a few little bounces with the knees. Because we're going to do this 2 more times on each side. So coming back to centre, rooting through, navel to spine. Inhale to prepare. Really grounding that left foot down as you lift the right foot away from the mat. Exhale, sending right foot up and away. Maybe you get a bit higher this time, but keeping that left leg straight, left hip stable. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering right hip down. Maybe taking those little bounces. Coming to centre, inhale. Lifting left foot up and out to the side for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left foot down, taking some bounces, maybe taking a forward fold, maybe taking hold of opposite elbows. We've got 1 more of this to go. Maybe you can come down a little bit lower. But stay at that point where you're finding that stability and structure, because these are not easy. But it's basically like WD-40 for your hips. You will thank me when you're older. Grounding the hands down. Inhale, lifting the right foot away from the floor. Sending right hip open as you lift the right leg up. For 5, 4, navel to spine. For 3, 2, 1. Right foot down, taking any release that you need. Last side, last one, we can do this, pressing the hands down, inhale, left foot away from the floor, left foot out to the side, keeping that right leg strong, maybe keeping a micro bend in that right knee if you're prone to hyperextending. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left foot down, and taking a soft bend in the knees, taking hold of opposite elbows. Just taking that gentle rock from side to side. Releasing the arms. Inhale, finding your halfway lift. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping back to plank, making your way through your version of chaturanga. Inhale is upward dog. Exhale is downward facing dog. Adding on, inhale, the right leg lifts away from the floor, high onto the ball of the back toes as you bring right knee to the nose, planting right foot in between the hands, lowering left heel down. Inhale, both arms lift, finding your way to Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1, maybe walking right toes to the edge, slightly more to the edge of the mat to make room for the hips. Inhale to cactus through the arms, knitting the shoulder blades together, noticing if you're arching the spine, not flaring the ribs, keeping that tailbone tucked down. Inhale. Exhale, spiraling open to find your way into Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. So that right heel is in line with the instep of the back foot. Arms are pulling away from each other. It's like you're pushing your feet away from each other. Torso is coming straight from the hips. Inhale to turn the front palm to the sky as you lift and open, finding your way into Revolved Warrior. Exhale, coming back through centre, bringing that elbow to the right thigh. Inhaling, the left arm lifts up and over, finding extended side angle. Taking a flowy motion between the two as you inhale, lifting up to find your Revolved Warrior. Your exhale brings you back over towards your extended side angle. Inhale, lengthening Revolved Warrior, keeping a nice deep bend in that right knee. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, straightening through the legs, coming back into centre. And pivoting the feet so the toes are pointing outwards, bending into the knees to find your goddess pose. Inhaling the arms up, finding that cactus, knitting the shoulder blades together. Tailbone is tilting down towards the ground, gaze is at a point directly in front. Inhale, the right heel lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left heel lifts. Exhale, lower. How deep can you stay in the pose? Inhale, right heel lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left heel lifts. Exhale, lower. Maybe both heels lift for 3, for 2, for 1. Bringing heels down to the mat. Exhale, finding your Skandasana. Maybe your hips are higher, maybe your hips are lower, but your right leg is straight, right toes are pointing out to the sky. Inhale, planting left hand down as right arm lifts. Exhale, walking yourself to the top of the mat to find your way into a lunge. Hands either side of the front leg, left knee is lifted. Then bringing that right foot to the left wrist, as right knee lowers to the right wrist, allowing the hips to come down and walking the right heel in towards the left hip. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale. Maybe supporting this hip with a block. Option to either fold down into pigeon like we have done before, or bending the right knee, taking a hold of the left foot with the left hand. Supporting yourself with the hand on the thigh. Notice if you're rolling your hips, keeping your hips square. Maybe staying here, maybe taking a strap to get here. Maybe starting to bring that left foot into the left elbow. Maybe the right arm lifts, maybe you take the mermaid bind, keeping shoulders square to the front of the mat. Inhale and exhale. If you have taken the back bend, releasing and folding over that front leg. Finding your pigeon once more. Coming back to your breath. Allowing the shoulders to melt down the back. And really allowing yourself to release any tension that might have built up here. How calm can you become in the rest of your body? When you're ready, pushing hands into mat, tucking those back toes under. Sending that right leg up and back, maybe opening the hip in a 3-legged dog before coming back to downward facing dog. Other side. Inhale the left leg lifts. High on the ball of the right toes as you bring left knee to nose. Planting left foot in between the hands, lowering that right heel down to a 45-degree angle. Inhale, both arms lift, finding your way to Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. Squaring the hips to the top of the mat, so maybe walking the left toes out slightly. Really anchoring in through the back outer edge of that back foot. That back leg is strong and engaged. Inhaling, both arms lift. Exhale, sending the arms into cactus, knitting the shoulder blades together, keeping the core engaged, navel to spine. Notice if you're arching the spine and flaring the ribs, tucking that tailbone down, staying strong and engaged through this posture. Inhale. Exhale, opening up, finding your way into Warrior Two. You may need to lengthen your stance here. Nice deep bend in that left leg. Really like people are pulling your arms apart from you. You're strong and engaged through both hands. Gaze goes out over those left fingertips. Inhale, can you sink a little bit deeper into that left knee? Exhale. Inhale to turn left palm to the sky. As you reach the left hand up, the right hand comes down the back of the leg, spiraling the ribcage towards the ceiling. Revolved warrior, gaze left. Exhale, coming back through Warrior Two, bending the elbow to bring the left elbow to the left knee as that right arm lifts up and over, finding extended side angle. Taking the flow, inhale, making your way to revolved warrior. Exhale, finding your way to extended side angle. Inhale, revolved warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. So really just following your own pattern of breath here, using your inhales to make your way to revolved warrior. Your exhale finds you an extended side angle. One more here. Inhaling. Exhale, extended side angle. And inhale to straighten through that front leg, coming back into Warrior Two but with the straight leg. Then pivoting the feet so that the big toes are pointing out, heels in, coming back into that goddess pose. Hands to hips to start, rolling shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale. Exhale, bending the knees, sinking into the hips. Almost encouraging that tailbone down by pushing the thumbs into the back of the hips. Inhaling, arms come up and open, finding that cactus. Exhale, sinking a little bit deeper. Inhale, right leg, right heel lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left heel lifts. Exhale, lower, sinking deeper. Inhale, right heel. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left heel. Exhale, lower, keeping the spine straight. Then inhale, maybe the right heel lifts. Maybe the left heel hits. Lowering really sending that tailbone down towards the ground for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering both heels, straightening the legs. Bending into the right knee as you extend the left leg long. Inhaling, arms lift, finding Skandasana. Exhale, walking yourself to the top of the mat to find a lunge. High on the ball of that right foot, really bringing the chest forward, planting the hands as you walk the left foot towards the right wrist. Left knee lowers towards the left wrist. Yeah. Extending that back leg straight and out from the hip. Now walking that, wherever you are, bringing that left ankle in towards the left hip. Maybe propping up underneath that left hip with a block. Bringing the chest proud. Now you can either come straight into your sleeping pigeon onto the floor, or maybe taking the back bend, bending that right knee. Bringing left hand to the left thigh. Maybe taking a strap to get hold of the leg, or maybe taking hold of the leg. If you do kick that foot into the hand, you're going to get more into the shoulder here. So really taking what you need, squaring shoulders towards the front of the room. Maybe you bring the right foot into the right elbow crease. Maybe you inhale the left hand up to take your mermaid pose. But still trying to square the hips towards the front of the room, squaring the shoulders towards the front of the room. And this side might feel quite different to the other, so being mindful here. Working with your body, not working with your ego. Taking the release nice and gently. And if you have been taking that back bend, folding over that front leg, coming back into your pigeon. Shoulders down away from the ears, really lifting the ribcage up and over that bent leg. Coming back to your breath. Really letting the body wind down and just sink into the earth in this pose. Working with the crescendos of sensation. So not resisting it, but surrendering to the pose and accepting what's happening in the body. Inhale, easing yourself up, tucking those back toes under, sending that left leg up and back, taking your three-legged dog, maybe bending the knee, opening the hip. Making your way to regular downward dog. Inhale high onto the balls of the feet, deep bend in the knees, look between the palms, and make your way to an easy seated position on the mat. Maybe sitting up onto a block, maybe bringing hands to the thighs, down for grounding, up to receive energy. Rolling shoulders down and the back, allowing the spine to extend from the hips. And invite you to lower your gaze or close your eyes, taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more like this, in through the nose, let, and out through the mouth, go. Just spending a few moments to sit with your body, sit with your breath, paying attention to the shifting sensations in the body. Inhaling, both arms come above the head, meeting in prayer, and bringing that prayer down the centre line of the body. And if you do want to take traditional Shavasana here, please feel free to do so. But really taking a moment of gratitude just to thank yourself for showing up for yourself today, to thank your body for being able to practice today, and seeing if you can take that gratitude, that thanks, out into the universe. Bringing the prayer to the third eye in between the elbows and between the eyebrows, lowering the head down in Namaste.